So I often get asked how I get my images cut out like this, and I use my brother's ScanNCut. So today I'm going to show you step by step how I get this done. So the very first step in this is just picking a stamp set that's going to work well for ScanNCut cutting. So I chose this Festive and Fun stamp set, and what I look for in these images is I look for a continuous line around the entire image. So a continuous dark black line that doesn't have any interruptions at all. So this is a good stamp set for that. The one thing I'll tell you is right here and these little lines right here, a lot of times those aren't going to cut very well. But overall, this image, all the images in this set tend to cut very well with the Brother ScanNCut. So let me show you one that doesn't cut very well, but you can actually do some things to help it. So this is Hey Chuck, another one of my favorite ones, but I have to get it really close here so that you can see. But if you look right here, do you see how that breaks from the top feather to the body in two different places? So when that happens, it doesn't see that as a full image, okay? So what you have to do is once you have stamped this, then if you can just take a pencil and draw that to make that a continuous line, then it will work for you. But even right here, you can see there's a little bit of a break, but any place there's a break, it is not going to see that as a full complete image. So even like this fence post, if you wanted this to cut, you would need to draw a line across each one of those and this ending part in order for that to cut as one full image. So again, any breaks you see, and so I really look at my stamp sets very closely to make sure that I'm getting continuous lines all the way around it, and that will save you a lot of frustration. If you're not sure, you can put it through the scanner first and you can see what it's missing, and then you can go back in and draw those lines to get more of a continuous cut. But again, it's just really easy to pick a good image that's going to do that. So if you find that you're having trouble with the full image being identified on the scanner, that's probably the problem. There's probably a break in that image somewhere. So hopefully I've explained that pretty well. The other thing is you want to get a good crisp image. So I'm going to stamp this two different ways and just kind of show you what I mean. So I'm using that same moose image that we cut over here and just a piece of basic white cardstock. I'm going to fill a whole page and show you how that cuts. But if I just kind of stamp that, and actually it's stamped pretty well, but you can see up here, it's a little faded. We'll see if this one will cut, but see how that's faded through there. If you find that's happening, it's probably not going to cut as well. It may actually mess up, but we'll see what it does when we get done. So I am going to fill this entire sheet with images, and then I'll come back and we'll get to the scanner and show you how that works. Okay, so I've got all of my images stamped. I even went ahead and stamped that Hey Chuck image just so we could use that as a sample. And I went ahead and taped my mat down. So my brother mats don't stay sticky very long. So I go ahead and just put a little bit of Scotch tape on there. Sometimes that can be a problem if it doesn't stick very well, but it seems to work well for me. So I just want to make sure that all of those images are stamped pretty well. You'll see I had a little line catch there, so that's probably going to show up on the scanner. But let me hook this up so that you can see the machine and how I get that loaded. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open up the machine. And I keep my tools right here. And this is going to take a little while just because we are doing all of this. I'm going to turn that on. And when you place your mat in, I always line it up as far over here as I possibly can. And as soon as this kind of fires up, I'm going to go ahead and hit this middle button to load my mat. And let's see if it'll take that yet. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. And we're going to go ahead and hit that mat again, and that way it will load. All right, so now I'm going to zoom in so you can really see what I'm doing on the screen there, okay? Because that's really kind of the most important part. All right, so I'm gonna take my little pointer tool here. Let me get that one out of the way. We'll use that later. I'm going to hit Scan, Direct Cut. I'm going to hit the machine. I do not use my computer very much with this. And the other thing that I get asked all the time is, which machine am I using? And it is the SDX85C, so you can see it right there. This asks for what your scan area is. You can do a full 12 by 12 sheet, but I am only going to scan the 12 by 6 area. Okay, and hit OK. And then recognition mode, you can either do black and white or color. For this, I am choosing black and white. And then we're going to hit Start, and that will start the scanning process. So this is actually a pretty quick process, is to scan that, because it's only, again, going to scan that 12 by 6 area. I'm hoping you can see all of that pretty well. Okay, so I can see all of my images showed up on there. I'm just going to hit OK. All right, and it looks like even Chuck showed up pretty well. So we're going to just, what I'm going to do is along the edge here, it actually picked up some little, like little marks. So I'm going to just crunch that in a little bit more so we don't have to take care of all those other little marks. Okay, let me come down just a little more so Chuck is all the way in there. So I just want to make sure everything's being seen there, okay? And I know this is kind of hard to see. I'm going to see if I can get it a little bit bigger for you. Let me see. Okay, hopefully you can see that screen pretty well. Okay, all right, so we're going to leave it just like that. If you have any really small images that aren't showing up very well, actually I do have it on the Rhino and on Hey Chuck. So I'm going to hit Ignore Object Size, and I'm going to put that up to 0.5. So that way anything that's, it's actually 0.51. And that's going to get rid of anything really tiny, but we'll fix the rest of that here in a minute. All right. And then I like to have a little bit of offset on my images. If you like it to cut right on the lines, you can just leave it as it is. But I find that offset works pretty well. So I'm just going to hit that little button there, and I'm going to put 0.4 and hit OK. Now what that does for me is that actually tends to take care of a lot of my problem areas. Like even on Hey Chuck, it did that. So I'm going to go hit OK, because honestly, it looks all right for me. A lot of times if you have the smaller images in there, it's going to take those away because it does that offset. So that works pretty well. So then we're going to go in here to Please Select. It wants to know what we want to do, and we want to cut this. So we're going to hit Cut. Takes a few minutes to process that. I generally don't do a test cut. You can if you want. The nice thing about this is it has an auto blade, so it just senses what the paper is and will cut it as you need it. So we're just going to hit Start, and this says it takes about 3 minutes to cut. So I'm going to let that cut, and then I'll come back and show you what the finished result looks like. Okay, so it did take 3 minutes for it to cut. I'm going to go ahead and hit Finish Cutting, and you can go ahead and go back. Actually, I don't really need to do any of that. I just want to push this middle button there to release it, and I'm going to hit OK, and that will release my thing. So let me come back out so that you can see it. So I've got all of those images are done, and I'll just use my little spatula. Let's see if I can hold it up here to do that. Let me get right underneath here. Peel that up. And a lot of times I'll just peel up the main piece. And even Chuck did pretty well. So I'll just show you. My arm's in the way. There we go. You can see that little Chuck image did pretty good. All right. So then I have just all of my images. I can take those off of the sheet, and color them, and they are ready to put on a card. So a lot of times when I get a new stamp set, I will just cut out a bunch of these, and then I have them for future cards. So I will put a link in the description for this particular machine. There are other models out there. I am not familiar with those, and I cannot answer your questions on those. But if you get this machine and you have any questions, I can certainly help you with those. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful and helps you walk step by step through how to cut those images with the Brother ScanNCut. Thanks for watching.